Hi, myself Kishore. Today we discussing about the friction. Friction. Friction is a beautiful topic in science and it is a very important parameter where we can see in our daily life like running, swimming, skating, brakes, etc. Friction have many advantages and disadvantages but depending upon applications we have to justify whether it is an advantage or disadvantage. Let's see how the friction exists and how can it experience. Consider object 1 and object 2. Here the object 2 plays over the object 1. Whenever the surface of the object 2 slides over the surface of the object 1, it experiences a force called frictional force. What is this frictional force? This frictional force is a opposite to the direction of motion of the and we're calling it as a friction. But here the question is how the friction is developing. Let's see. Whenever we see in a microscopic in structure, the objects of the surfaces looks like in a irregular in shapes. Because of this irregular in shapes, it will interlock the surfaces and it creates the friction when the object slides over the another surface. This is how the friction exists in between the surfaces. Friction. What is friction? A friction is defined as a force which resists the relative motion of the body and it exists between the contact surfaces. As discussed in previous slide. Let us take an example. Here the person is moving a stone with help of rope. But even applying a force, the stone does not move. Why this stone is does not move? It means there is another force which called opposing force acting opposite to the direction of the external force applied. This is a friction. Simply we can say that a friction is a force which opposes the motion of the body called friction. Let us take another example. Consider a table and a block. Here the block is placed on the table. Now here I am applying an external force on the block. Now what will be happen? The block will move in the direction of force applied and simply we calling it as direction of motion of the body. Now the question is what will be the direction of friction? Friction is always opposite to the direction of motion of the body. And what are the forces acting on the body? First one, applied force capital F. It is a external force acting on the body. And frictional force small f. It is a force which opposes the motion of the body. And normal reaction which acts vertically upward direction and perpendicular to the surface of the body. And weight of the body which acts vertically downward direction. W is equal to mass into acceleration. We know that friction formula. What is friction formula? Small f is equal to mu into Rn. Where small f is equal to frictional force, Rn is equal to normal reaction force, and mu is equal to coefficient of friction of the material. The amount of magnitude of the friction will depends upon this coefficient of friction of the material. When the coefficient of friction increases, the magnitude of the frictional force also increases.